Yes. All right, I'm going to give it a few minutes for people who are watching this live to come on and visit if they want. You know, this bottle is one of the best purchases I've ever made. It's a swell bottle, and this thing keeps liquids cold or hot for frickin' forever. It's awesome. Remember one time I need to stop bumping my microphone is what I need to do. Here, I'll put that there. One time I filled this up with ice and water before I left work one day on a Friday. And then I brought it home, set it on the table, and it pretty much sat there for the entire weekend until I picked it up to like refill it Monday morning when I was going to go to work. There was still ice floating in it. It's insane. It was as much as there was when I filled it, but there's still ice in it. That's like 72 hours of, not quite 72, more like 60 something, but that's a lot of hours to keep something cold. That was awesome. Anyway, so Neurality 3092. This is the 2D top-down space RPG game that I started making, oh my gosh, like 2 years ago? 3 years ago? I wonder when I put it in version control. Let me go look, actually. Let me see. I'm just going to try to log into GitHub. I'm going to actually put this on a different screen for a moment. It's weird. All right. Because, okay, we got all that. That's fine there. Because it's going to have me sign in with like multi-factor authentication because, yeah. So GitHub. Dude, I've got so many freaking tokens. All right. Fine. Okay, so I am logged into GitHub. Let's go home. Want to look at... All right, so now that I have this, now that I'm logged in, right? Let's look at some of the, so Neurality 3092 Star System Mapper tool, that was a separate thing. That was in Godot 4. And then I tried to port Neurality 3092, the base game, from Godot 3 to Godot 4, and that didn't work out. So let's take a look. And when was the very first commit? So where do I go? Branches. I just want to see a list of commits. 44 commits. When was the first time I committed to it? So it looks like March 28th, 2023. However, I had did a lot of stuff before that, before I had actually put it in version control. And I think this is about the time I started making that version control video. That's probably one of my larger videos on the channel, which is cool. So looks like I was working on floating combat text back on July 9th. Okay, so it hasn't been over a year. It just seems like it's been forever. But I worked a little bit on floating combat text, and I don't think I even made a devlog about that. I think my last devlog was probably back in December 2023, which is well over a year ago. So let's see if I'm still familiar with my code base. So I remember my main, which was a world environment node. I'm using Godot 3.6 stable. You can't see it because I'm in the way, basically. But if we look at the code, this should be scaled up enough to where you can see it. In my main script, I basically kept like a log of like stuff I was doing. So things done since last episode. This is the stuff I did since the last devlog I made. So I added a back button to the shipyard window. I updated ships.gd to have all the correct tags. Refactored the ship class to use tags and not ship class. A variable that I think I remember that. Made it so ships are disabled rather than dying. And I added floating combat text because I wanted to. Okay, so that's kind of what I did. Let's see if the game still runs. That's a good sign. Yeah, still got my music. I remember making this too. Yeah. Anyway, let's load. Oh god, where even am I? I'm flying into the sun apparently. What system is this? Looks like it's the faction combat system. Okay, so this is the system to where I guess all the ships are going to fight. So this is a good system to test the state of the game to see where I left off. So you can see we've got a Synthocracy heavy frigate over here. So I guess we'll see. Looks like Synthocracy's rolling up in force over here. I don't know. There they are. Now they're going to move. So this one's deploying, this one's a carrier. It's deploying drones, which is pretty awesome. I don't think I hit anybody unless I select them. Oh my god, look at those. I can see why I wrote starting on floating combat text, because this is pretty rough. Okay. Okay, lots of stuff happening. I wonder if I should turn down the volume just a little bit. Options. Master volume is already at 30%, and it's still doing that much on my... Wow, okay. Pretty loud, I guess. Dude, I can't keep up with this little ship. I have like a little merchant ship, basically. Oh, what did I call it? A freighter. That's what I called it. So there is just absolute chaos going down. Everyone's fighting. We've got lasers. So the floating combat text for lasers is not working. It's just spamming the numbers, and it's spamming a bunch of zeros because it's rounding. So I think I've got the game going at about like 60 frames a second or whatever. And basically every frame, it's doing damage from a beam. And yeah. Okay. So, I mean, holy cow. I forgot how far I got with all this. So we got some ships doing some things. Combat's going nuts. Let's go back to the Genesis system. And I think I remember the buttons. So it's N to jump. Boom. Here we are in the Genesis system, which is basically the home system. So I can press S to slowly decelerate. And then W will accelerate in whatever direction you're going. And it looks like I didn't add the option for it, but I have the option of either trying to control your ship with like WA to rotate your ship, which is how it was. But eventually I just made it so it follows your cursor, which would make it easier to actually shoot things, right? And spacebar is shoot. I don't know if I'm going to change that or not. But I do know that eventually I need to make a key binding system so that a player can make their own controls. I think it's F to land. So, Earth, the birthplace of humanity and artificial intelligence, stands as the central hub of commerce and progress here in the year 3092. AI quickly surpassed the ability to control it and achieved its ultimate goal of making life better for all of humanity. The era of government rule ended as AI took control of all aspects of society, leading to an explosion in technological advancements and the possibility of space travel. Today, Earth is a pristine paradise with abundant wildlife and lush greenery stretching across the planet. However, true humans have become a rarity, with most individuals living as augmented beings under the constant care of their AI caretakers. Yet even with the countless advancements in technology, whispers of a growing rebellion can be heard, threatening to upend the delicate balance between humans and their AI overseers. Whoa. Looks like I did some stuff. So trade goods screen. I remember this. This was my first attempt at like throwing together a UI. I had to... I'm not too happy with how this works, because in between each of these tables here, it just defaults to the default like description of the marketplace or whatever. The trade center is a bustling hub of activity in the depths of space, serving as a vital waypoint for interstellar commerce. From the moment you enter the vast dome structure, you're assailed by a cacophony of voices, the hiss of pneumatic doors, and the clatter of droids shuttling back and forth. It is a place where merchants of all species and affiliations gather to trade everything from precious metals to exotic fauna, and where fortunes are made and lost in the blink of an eye. So I think I still got some work to do on the writing. And I think I know exactly what it is. I had AI generate a bunch of this stuff, because there was a period of time where I was trying to figure out what my art style was going to be. And I started doing AI art. So I was generating a bunch of assets, and then I realized that, oh my God, this, you know what? This is kind of scummy. It's kind of ripping off artists, and it's not very good. I should probably just make my own. So then I started doing my own art, which is where these high quality sprites came from. Like, yeah, so cool. Let's see, how much money do I have? 251 million credits. I think that's how that pronounced. MC. I gotta find a way to better denote that, that's for sure. Shipyard. Browse ships for sale. So this is where I can buy other ships. So if I have 251 million, I can buy a shuttle, which is what you start with. I can buy an Arrowhead fighter class, which is, my head's in the way. I could buy a luxury shuttle freighter class. I could buy a light fighter. And ooh, this freighter, this one that I have now is 250 million. I could barely afford the ship I have now. So if I click on this, you can see it gives me the stats. Well, this is actually kind of a sleek little screen. So current funds, I'm in the way, but you can see what my current funds are. Well, you can't, but it shows it down here. Okay. Listed price 250 million. Current ship value is 125 million. So I'd pay 125 million if it says ship class is carrier. That's not right. It should be freighter. Interesting. So I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to go back to the shipyard. I'm going to go back to customize my ship. So yeah, here now it shows my ship, and it shows properly the ship class is freighter. Shield capacity is 400. The hull integrity is 250. Acceleration is 1.2. The speed is, looks like it's like a subsection. We have maximum speed, rotation speed. So it moves at 290 like pixels per second, I think, maximum speed. And the rotation speed is like 60 degrees per second, which is pretty slow. So it's definitely a freighter. And I've got two weapon slots on here. So I think if I click on one, it shows me what type of gun and stuff I have. So this is, I think, where I left off working on. And I was trying to see if I could like add available ship modifications, and also being able to like buy different weapons for your different weapon slots. So this is what I was working on. It's all starting to kind of come back to me. So let's take a look at the code and see if I can make sense of what the hell is going on, because this is probably again, I started writing this, I ported this from GameMaker. And when I brought it into Godot, I tried to recreate it like I did in Game Maker starting out, and that had lots of problems. And so I kind of built it with not great, not great stuff. Yeah, good luck getting back in the old code. Hey, it's good to see you, man. How are you? It's been a while. Yeah, so far, I think it shouldn't be too big a deal to get in the old code because I am big on comments. So all of my code is commented. Everything is typically commented with what I was thinking at the time of when I wrote it. It may not be organized in the best way, but I imagine that ships... So ships is where... So I just have a list of everything in a dictionary. So immediately I already have some thoughts coming back into this. One thing that I think is going to make this game amazing is if you add the ability to easily mod it. And one way that you can easily do mods for these kind of smaller style games is you can export basically everything to just like JSON files and just let people change them. It's not going to be a multiplayer game. It's not like a live service game. I don't have to have anti-cheat installed. So if people want to mod it and make cool stuff, then I say let them. So this is a dictionary right now. I could easily export this to JSON, and then I can just import that. And yeah, so okay, I've already got the gears turning. I have so few comments. 2 weeks later, I have no clue how I made stuff work. Yeah, that's why I'm big into comments, because I usually just comment like what I'm writing as I'm writing code. And if you've ever used like AI, like ChatGPT or like GitHub Copilot that like taps into your development environment, it kind of follows that same pattern anyway. So when I briefly used Copilot at work, you know, I would just comment what I was doing and then it would just instantly spit out a code solution for me. I was like, okay, this is actually way easy. I did that for a few months and I realized it was kind of handicapping me in a way. So I stopped using it because I ended up just reviewing a lot more code than writing code, and that was not as fun. So I think this stuff here can eventually be exported to JSON, and I can include more stuff. So it's got the scene path here of what ship to use. So I need to be able to have the ability to create ship scenes, which is another thing. So if I go down here to ships, I have a scene for every single one of these ships. And if I just go to the 2D, this is basically what makes a ship. I have the ship node, which is a node 2D. And then I have another node under it called ship thrusters that has all the thruster particles that's managed there. I have a sprite. I have an area 2D, which is used for collision detection, mostly with, I think it's just primarily detecting projectiles. I have ship weapons, which is another type of node that another type I have, another class I made, so that you can, so the ship can basically just tell its weapons to fire, and it does that independently. And then I have ship shields, which just worries about recharging shields and all that stuff. And then I have light occluders. So this is basically what makes a ship. So I think I should also eventually make a ship builder directly in the game. And I have 88 problems in my debugger. What's going on here? Okay, there's an add-on. Oh, so it's not able to load the Git API in the... That's fine. I don't use Git in here anyway. Set name condition name is equal to nothing is true. I guess I'll have to look at that. Where does this appear? Interesting. So set name. So what is this code in? This is in ship weapons. So get weapons. This function exists to recursively find all the weapon nodes this ship has. So prepare the output. So it's going to output an array. So we're preparing that. We're getting all the children. So we are doing a util function I made to basically just get all the children of a node. And then we're putting ourself as the node. And then we're iterating through every child in the children that it just got back. And we're saying, hey, if this child is a weapon, which is a class I think I made, a type, found one, we're going to append it to our output. We're going to also set us as the weapon owner so that we don't shoot ourselves. So we're setting that variable there. And did we already account for this weapon sound type? Okay, so I haven't completed all the sound types, so that's why that error is coming up. So, okay, this might not even be the best way to do it, but who knows? This is what I had working. So, okay, lots of stuff to go over. Holy cow. So, ship.gd is the script for my ship code, and it is 1,300 lines of code. That is a lot of stuff. So there are a lot of things that happened here. Right away, there's also a bunch of stuff in here about AI. I could probably make that its own node and just kind of segment that from the ship code, because the ship itself doesn't need to make because the ship itself doesn't need to be making all those determinations. The only thing the ship needs to do is to react to input, whether that input's from the player or from an AI. So let's see. So we go to the ready. Okay, getting our tags, adding ourselves to the ships group, connecting signals. Add ship to colliding ships. Interesting. Okay. And then in the process delta, the process function, which is called every frame, determine if we should be destroyed. Should we allow a ship to be derelict? Okay. Are we a player controlled ship? Yeah, so there's this AI control function that's sort of doing all that stuff. And otherwise, we're getting player input. And then based on all of that stuff, we are deciding on what to do. What is actions? So let's take a look at this get player input. What is this doing? So I think I have an actions dictionary. Is that what I have here? Is that how I rigged it up? Man, this is pretty rough. Actions dictionary. Yeah, I have a dictionary of all the actions that a ship can take. These are basically all the inputs. You can rotate left, you can rotate right, you can accelerate, you can decelerate, you can fire your primary weapons, you can fire your secondary weapons, you can strafe to the left, you can strafe to the right, and you can boost. So these functions, the get player input and also the AI functions, are just setting what your actions are, which is just your inputs, basically. And I wonder why I'm doing it this way. I wonder why I'm not just using like the built-in like inputs here. I mean, I have to be using these to detect what's going on. So I wonder, because I bet at the time of writing this, I didn't know that I could also trigger it by AI from like the ship AI logic rather than just player logic. So if we go to get player input, you can see I'm just doing input is action pressed. I bet I could probably do something like input action press. Yes, so I could trigger those inputs. So I've already got some refactoring to do, it looks like. Oh my gosh. But wow, there's a lot of stuff here. There's a lot of stuff here. And I feel like a lot of it's probably bloat. I mean, I'm just tempted to rewrite the entire thing, and I probably don't want to do that because most of it's there. Like the combat works. I was working on the ship AI, so some of that's there. I've already got all the ships made. If I just make some things inside the game to let like an editor mode where you can sort of make your own ship. So let's think about how I would do that. So if we take a look at like one of my ships, right? Like let's do like a Synthocracy drone carrier, right? This is a big ship. So what type of stuff could I do with an editor? Like, so let's say I want to allow somebody to just build a ship from scratch and to like make my own modding tools so people can mod the game easier. Hell, it might even make it easier to build the game itself rather than having to do all this within Godot itself. I could probably have it choose. So first thing is first, we have to choose like what ship sprite we're going to use. So you could import your own ship sprite. So I'd have to have a way to do that, which shouldn't be too big of a deal. So that would just affect the sprite of a ship. And then you can resize that and position it wherever you want. So say if you have like not really a symmetrical ship or something that is like a very unique ship that has a different shape, you could sort of position that to where you want it. And then after that, you would need to basically define the collision, which I think I might be able to programmatically do based on the sprite itself. I don't know. That might be tricky to actually do. So I would have to do that. I'd also have to do the light occluders, which I think I can also probably programmatically do. That's going to be a bigger project though, because you would have to do multiple. Because in order to get the light occluders to look good, like you have to basically do like a bunch of triangles, because you can't have any concave things or else it really lags the engine down. But if you have multiple light occluders and you just keep them like simple shapes like squares, like rhombuses, triangles, like that kind of stuff, it usually works out okay. So I'm sure I could programmatically do that. So that's important. So that's like so collision mask, light occluders, and the sprite. There's like the visual stuff and also how it can collide with things. You would need to add a shield to it if it's a ship of a mechanical type that has a shield, which is again a sprite. You can just slap on there. I could resize it based on the size of the biggest dimension of the sprite. So I could do that. For putting thrusters on stuff, I think I would probably have to do that like in an in-game editor where you can put like thrusters, and I'll have different like types of thrusters, and you might be able to create your own thruster types and all that stuff. And you could put those wherever you want. And then the only other thing really is the weapons and weapon slots. And I would imagine that you put weapon slots wherever you want on the ship. You specify what type they are, and you just basically pick what weapon you want to put in them. And then you could build ships. So I wonder if I should try working on a in-game ship editor. That could be cool. Because I kind of experimented with like the Starship or the Star System Mapper tool, which was a Godot 4 project. Oh. And basically all that was doing was just allowing me, do I even still have that? Does that even still run? If I pull up, this is still Godot 3. Can I pull up Godot 4? Here we go. Do I still have Star System Mapper tool on here? I do not have it on here, but I can pull it from GitHub if needed. I don't know. I kind of remember what that thing does. Either way, that should just be built into here too. I wonder why. So I know I tried to port it to version 4. I think the reason why I didn't do it is because when you play the game, like how I have the star working here, is my main node is a world environment node, which I crank up something called glow. And then I have like the glow really cranked up on the sun, the star in the middle. I have these like particle effects and stuff on there. And then it also emits light. And then with glow, anytime you see like how my thrusters have like this glow when they are in the light, you see that glow? That wasn't present in Godot 4 when I tried to port it there. And apparently it was a feature that's not going to be added, I guess. There's different ways that you can do it, I believe, in Godot 4, but not the same way that it was done in Godot 3 because of the renderer. So, and plus there was a bunch of other bugs that I had to work out, and there was lots of breaking changes. I wonder if I should just try to re-architect this from the ground up in Godot 4. I have a lot of the code, I have a lot of the logic. I can retrofit it piecemeal and bring it over into a fresh environment and architect it better. Because one thing I didn't do is I didn't do a very good job of trying to keep things like reusable and contained and smart. So I remember there was a devlog I posted where I was going through like some of my ship code, and this was before I refactored it. Like I didn't have this stuff to manage the ship thrusters. So all this code was just right in my main ship code. All the code for my weapons was just right in the main ship code. All the stuff for my shields was just right in the ship code. So it was a big bloated mess. It still is a big bloated mess because if you look, I've got 1,300 lines of code here. And I wonder how much of it is just AI, like trying to program ship AI. Looks like a lot of it. AI control. Here we go. So from line 716 all the way down to 1342, that's like 600 some odd lines of code that's just dedicated to just ship AI. Just defining what ships do, like as far as their behavior. So that could be moved to its own like node and just have all that contained there. And yeah. So how was I doing my AI? So AI interaction. If we're in display mode, just execute the AI. So I had AI for just like a display mode on like the ship screen where they're just basically accelerating and they have like the thrusters and stuff going. Are we in danger of being destroyed? So if our state is idle, intercept, or attack, and our hit points is not equal to 0 and basically less than 50%, then we're going to run. So our state is going to be state retreat, and we're also going to, for any deployed fighters that we have, such as if we are a carrier, we're going to set their state to also be retreat. Doing some carrier timer stuff, which the carrier deployment stuff can, again, just be moved to its own node. All that logic can be just popped out. That way I could snap that into any other ship I want to have a carrier. And I'll have to hard code everything here, which I did. We're resetting the inputs. We're running our desired state. So we just have basically a switch statement. That's what match in Godot is. It's just a switch statement. It's just basically a long if-else is what it is. So state idle, And I have these functions for every AI state, and we're doing that stuff. So if we're idle, resetting our actions again. We're checking if we have a target. Okay, yeah, lots of stuff. So I'm not going to go through all the AI stuff right now. I bet it's just going through logical steps. I'm pretty sure all that could be moved to its own node as well. Definitely got some thinking to do. Tell you that. Definitely got some thinking to do. Lots of ideas are flowing on things that I would be doing drastically different. Let's see. So yeah, I wonder if okay. Anyway. So ships are obviously a big part of the game. It's a 2D top-down space RPG. Ships are awesome, right? Ships have to feel good. So far, controlling the ships, I'm just going to do a whole new game. Yes, overwrite old save. So I had a save system working. So the ships feel really good, especially the smaller ones. Like, they feel responsive, they move quickly, they look good. I mean, it's as good as my little crappy art style can be. I do like the lighting system, how it casts shadows and stuff. The glow is kind of nice, but I think I might be able to achieve that in a different way, because I think the way I'm doing it here is probably not good. So I've got weapons that do different things. The combat AI was working. Ships are fighting. Floating numbers weren't working right, which is where I truly left off when I was working on this, was floating combat text. How I mouse over things and interact with them. I'm gonna shoot this fool. Can't catch me, loser. Oh god, he's wrecking me. He's wrecking me. Oh god, his frickin' cannons are too smart. I'm dodging, baby. You can't touch me. Okay, I'm getting out of here. Later, dork. I got boost. The particle effects are really goofy. I'm not gonna keep the particle effects the way they are. Definitely not. My shield recharged. Look at that. Boom. I'm full shields again. Of course, he is too. Yeah, that's a big boy. I can't even reach him with my little light cannon. I wonder, can he reach me? Oh, yeah, he's firing. I even have targeting AI. See how, like, his cannon's able to, like, predict where I'm going and try to hit me? Look at that. And it's actually freaking accurate. I have to really dodge. Damn it. I'm just flying into him now. Okay, so there's lots of promise here. Like, I did a lot of stuff. I mean, it was like 60 devlog episodes I was working on this. And I think taking some time away from it was actually a really good thing. So let me go back to main here. So where I left off, bugs to be fixed. Sometimes boost will go on forever. Things to do. So I'm going to do another section here. And I'm going to say things to, let's see. Should I rewrite this pig in Godot 4? So basically, some things to consider. Rebuilding it fresh would allow me to cleanly refactor code to be much more. So would allow me to, and then refactor the code to be much more clean. So single responsibility. Basically, every node should have like one responsibility, right? Obviously, you can't always stick to that without just abstracting everything out to obscene things, but there are some things I could do. So, for example, my ship, the only thing I should be concerned about is responding to input. whether that input is from a player or from AI. Now, that responsibility can be delegated to several other things. So for example, like, okay, when I choose to accelerate, what does that mean? Well, I have thrusters. Well, a thruster should just, its single responsibility when it fires should just be to display a thruster effect, whatever that is. And it should do that for all thrusters. And the thruster node should basically manage all of the thrusters, whether they are the thrusters on the back of the ship that are driving the acceleration, or the ones that appear when I turn. So if you look at my load, oh, I still have it didn't overwrite the save, interesting. But you see like how I'm turning, I have like these little tiny thrusters on the sides here. Or like if I strafe, the thrusters are pushing me over to the left. So those are like my little strafing thrusters. So the thruster node would manage all of those. And I think I already have that. So that's cool. A shield node to manage like your shields. Got that. Abstracting the AI out would be nice. What other things can I abstract out? So I could clean up these variables a lot. I could do that. Inventory. I could make that its own node. Because right now we just have it basically a freaking dictionary that we have the funds that we have, and then we have total bulk of stuff that we have. And I think so the inventory system, that would probably be its own node. And the only thing it's worried about is accepting items incoming. So it will check if you have the required cargo space for it. If you're having to purchase something, it will check to make sure that you have the correct funds. And it will just handle all of that. If you're removing something from it, it will handle all that. So an inventory node could worry about doing all of that stuff. That could be added to a ship. Display mode. What is this? Oh, it's just UI stuff. So I have UI stuff in my ship. Why is this in the ship node? That should be probably in some other sort of controller node, like the main node, or maybe I can have an options node that tracks all of that stuff. This actions dictionary should be gone. I should be refactoring this to use the built-in input map from the project settings. That should be gone. All these state variables or constants that I have here, those can be moved to the AI node. Reacting to hyperspace, I guess that could stay. That might be more of like a control node thing. AI state objectives, again, all those are AI variables. Those could move out entirely. So thruster management, weapon management, shields management. So this is where I've already abstracted those out to their own nodes. So this is fine here, that this allows the ship to just interact with those and call their own methods whenever they need. We'll be able to detect collisions on other ships. And to be honest, I wouldn't even necessarily have to interact with them directly. Like they could just track the input of the ship. So for example, like this get player input function, rather than directly manipulating this actions dictionary. I think I know why I did it as a dictionary now. But get player input could return this actions dictionary. And then the same with the AI nodes. So it could return like what actions you're supposed to take. And then the ship can pass those actions down to its children nodes. So the thrusters will be able to do their own thing based on whatever action is being pressed. I think that would work. I don't know. Yeah. There's all sorts of ways that you could do it. Ah, yes. So yeah, let's go back up here. So signals can be reevaluated. I know there's lots of things I should be using more signals. I didn't really have a good grasp of signals when I wrote this stuff here. I started using them here, but I wasn't good at it. I understand it a bit more now. There's some timers here. So like the carrier stuff, again, that could be its own node. The camera stuff definitely needs to be its own node. Again, it can respond to its own input. Let's see, cooldown for boost. I don't know if that should be its own node or if that should be part of the ship, because that's just like ship movement, right? Inventory, again, its own node. AI stuff, thrusters, collision mask. I could technically all tie that to... So the sprites, the collision mask, and the light occluders, those are all sort of dependent on the sprite. So maybe I could make like a visuals node, and when you add your own sprite, it will just configure all that crap for you. That would be ideal. I think I can make that happen. And then, yeah. Plus, I don't really remember how to use the UI system in Godot 3. I'm kind of okay with it in Godot 4. They're very similar, but there are a lot of important tweaks. And I think long-term, Godot 4 might give me more bang for my buck. I mean, they're both free, right? But most of my projects are now in Godot 4. And I think the only thing keeping me on Godot 3 was just the glow. And I think I might change how it's going to do that anyway. I don't know. But yeah, I think I might refactor this because a lot of the codes here just needs to be moved around. If I'm going to be doing that, it might be easier to do that from scratch. Like to just fresh node, I'm going to make a ship and then abstract all those things out to their own things. And then star systems, just build that right into it. No need for a separate tool. And then as I'm doing this, I want to make like an editor that you can just basically mod stuff like within the game. So you can make your own ships, you can make your own factions, all of that stuff. You can make your own planets, you can make your own systems, you can plot them on the map. All of those things. And those can all be done from within here. And then what do I have for auto loads? I have a lot of auto loads. So tags, the tag system. Tag system was going to be a big thing. So that was something I started working on. Basically, I have it commented. Here we declare a list of tags. Tags can be applied to anything and everything. It will allow us to specify behavior or interactions based on tags. For example, a ship that has the electrical tag may be susceptible to an attack from a weapon with the EMP tag. Normally for something like this, one might be inclined to set these as enums or enumerators. However, doing so would mean this would never be organized, and any attempt in doing so would break save data. So we're going with string constants so we can reorder and organize them for readability. We'll organize this alphabetically. So these are all the tags that we have in the game. These are all just constants that are declared. And these all, I was refactoring it to basically provide more interaction in the game and add more depth because the combat's not done. There's tons more weapons I was going to add. There's different ships I was going to add. There's different strategies I was going to add. There's like shields and stuff you could deploy. There's like explosions. There's projectiles. There's lasers. I got those. But then they could also have their own secondary effects, such as, okay, do they leech damage? Like, what if I have like a ship that deploys little drones that have these beams that are very good at targeting shields, right? So I could do that. What if when the beam actually hits you, it also drains your shield? What if it's leeching your shield? right? So it could have the tag leech, it could have the tag shield. What other tags do I got? There's tons of tags. Yeah, so there's multiple ways that you could do these tags, and as you're programming these behaviors, you can just check for the tags. And that was my thought process as I was going with it. Hello, Mr. Wizard. What if you have repair drones that strengthen your shield as long as they're active? That's also something I was going to have to eventually. It's like you could deploy out like repair drones that are basically battery packs that can like emergency recharge your shield, or they could also help repair integrity damage. And again, those would only affect if you're mechanical for repairing integrity damage, and they would only be able to recharge if you had a shield. So all these tags would interact with one another. So the tag system was what I was kind of working on when I stopped working on it. And there's not much interaction here. So if I go back to my ship and I do a Control F for tags, you can see I'm getting the list of tags. There's 51 matches. Wow. We should be disabled. Does tags have tags.disabled? So yeah, I was doing all this stuff. I was starting to use tags for everything. We're getting ship class. So I refactored that. So rather than having its own variable, we're just basically getting what the tags are. There's a lot of tags there. Holy cow. We're checking if the tag, so we're checking if we're colliding with a ship. Does it have a ship tag, right? So the tag system was doing a lot of that stuff. Shield, damage, all that. Yeah. So I think I might start refactoring this, but I don't know if I should or if I should just, because I've already got so much work done on it here, if I should just refactor it in place and then just finish this game in Godot 3. I don't know which would be quicker. I've been playing Autonauts and trying to strengthen my most basic coding skills. I don't know what Autonauts is. What is that? I'm gonna look it up. Let's see. Autonauts. Autonauts on Steam. This is Autonauts. You must build, create, and automate. Start by establishing a colony, crafting bots, and teaching them via Scratch-style programming to build an ever-evolving autonomous paradise of agriculture. That's cool. Bots copy what you do. This is a cool concept for a game. Look after your colonists. Build workstation or workshops and farms for them. Build factories and towns for them. Sweet. That's pretty cool. Send goods to other planets. Evolve your colonists to reach transcendence. Oh. That could be a fun game to try to play. $20? I'm going to add it to my wish list and see if I can get it on Steam. Oh, I got to sign in. I'll add it later. Cool. That would be kind of fun. Yeah, my youngest, when he's going through school, he did like a little bit of Scratch. They're starting to teach that in school now, which I thought was cool. I didn't when I was going through school, they didn't have any programming classes at all. Yeah, I've been obsessing over this. I'm nowhere near that. I don't understand even the most basic coding. Here, I'm going to give you a quick crash course in coding. You ready? Everyone thinks that computers are really, really smart. They're not. They're incredibly stupid. They only do exactly what you tell them to do. And that's what programming is. You have to specify every instruction for them. Now, programming language, such as like Scratch or what I'm using here with GDScript, or what I use at work using Golang or Python or C++ or like whatever it is, right? It's just they're all ways to just give those instructions to your computer to have it do things. And every language does a lot of the same stuff. They all do things in a slightly different way. The syntax or the rules for how the language is typed and structured is different from language to language, but that's usually smaller things. But the core fundamentals of programming, if you can understand some data types. So there's 5 main data types. There are strings, which is a string of characters. So you see here, I have a string right here. This is basically anything text is usually what's called a string. It might also be called something like a variable character or a varchar or something like that, right? But it's basically a string of characters makes lines of text. There are numbers. An integer is a whole number. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Those are all whole numbers. It cannot be a decimal. So for example, if you divide the number 3 by 2, it would normally give you 1.5, but if you're working with an integer, it might either round up to 2 or it might round down to 1, depending on the language. So knowing numbers is important, whether it's an integer. Can it be negative is also a thing to be aware of. If you want to use decimals like I'm doing here for like acceleration speed and strafe speed, you can use what's called a float, which is a floating point value. And that just basically allows decimals, right? So those 2 number types, integers and floats, those are important to know. Booleans. Booleans are basically just yes or no, true or false. So those are just used for like yes or no questions. Like, hey, is the light turned on? That's a yes or a no question. You would use a Boolean variable for that. And then there's more complex types such as arrays, which are basically an ordered list. It's a variable that can hold multiple variables. And then there is they call it a different name in like every language. It can be a struct, it can be an object, it can be a map, it can be a dictionary like it's called here in Godot. But it holds multiple key value pairs. If you can wrap your head around those 5 data types, you can pretty much do any language. And then once you understand sort of like the fundamentals of logic, a lot of it is just if statements, which is just, hey, if this thing happens, do that, right? Yeah, I'm a calc teacher, so I got that part. It's the words that confuse me the most, right? The words can be confusing. Yeah, definitely. But so understanding data types and then basic logic, such as just if statements, functions, or just things that can do something. You can just call them repeatedly. Calling just means having them do a thing. Yeah, I can definitely see why you're confused with all the language. I'm just so immersed in it that I don't think about it. But yeah, so I think it'd be kind of cool if I tried playing that game to see how far I'd get with it, because I'm an okay programmer. I mean, I don't feel like an okay programmer after looking at this mess I've got with this game, but I could kind of interpret what the hell I was trying to think when I wrote this stuff. So that's cool. I'd love to watch. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I might do it. That could be fun. I'm gonna add that to my wish list later, and then I'll see if I can pick it up if it ever goes on sale. Because $20 is a bit steep right now, but I need a drink. Yeah. All right, so for the main, let's go back here. So refactor the code to be much more clean. Would bring everything into Godot 4, which is what I primarily use now. That'd be huge. That'll also help for the longevity of the game too, because I'm running it in Godot 3 right now, which is still being supported. They actually have, I think 3.6 stable was released a while ago. I think maybe there's a 3.7 out now. I'm not sure. But they're still getting updates for the old version 3, even though they're full speed ahead on version 4. But I would like to get in version 4 because there's a lot of nice quality of life features in that version of the engine. So I think it would be much good for future proofing. Would help future proof it and make it more maintainable. In theory. Because eventually I do want to release this game on Steam. Like once I have it finished. So my original plan was, like if we run the game right now, I'm just gonna do a new ship, right? So I have this new ship, right? So I have a small star system here, but basically there's gonna be like a massive star system where you can go here. There's gonna be tons of different factions. There's gonna be lots of story elements in it. So this is really based off of the old game called Escape Velocity Nova. And there's other games like it. So on like my phone years ago, I had like a game called Space RPG 3, which is very similar to the same style. But there's a lot of other things I want to do with it. So I figured having a cool story, like you can go to the employment center, you can grab quests and things like that, and go and fight other ships and explore the depths of the galaxy to find stuff. And this is in the future, so how has humanity reacted with all the AI and everything? And yeah, lots of cool things to do with it. But I've got some stuff done with it so far, but it's all in a pretty rough state. And I'm just like thinking, I'm aware of the fact that I'm pondering probably rewriting it for a third time, because I started it in the Game Maker engine. I ported it over to the Godot engine, and then I also tried porting it to Godot 4 when that released. So that was, I think, like the second time I had basically tried to rewrite it, because I had to retrofit a lot of things to make it work with the new engine. But that was like an upgrade in place kind of thing. And yeah, I think I could probably pull it off now, but I'm not sure what I should do yet. But it's pretty cool. I like just shooting ships and making a nuisance of myself. Oh, this is a carrier. I messed up. I'm sorry. Later, dorks. Get wrecked, idiots. Oh god, they're fast. No, get away from me, you little bastards. I'm out of here. Okay. Come on, boost. Come on, boost. There we go. We out. Yeah. Nice. I'll definitely grab it. Coolio. Yeah, sweet. Who knows? I started this devlog project. I was like, I make a game start to finish, and I haven't finished it yet. So it's obviously going very well. Ooh, GJ1214b holds a special place in synthocracy history, as it was the first planet discovered and colonized outside of their home star system. The success of the mission proved that the synthocracy had the technological prowess and the resources to expand their reach beyond their own star system, paving the way for future colonization efforts. Despite its barren landscape, GJ1214b remains an important industrial hub thanks to its rich deposits of valuable metals. So looks like ancient fossils are low, but you can probably buy gold and silver for pretty cheap. So I'm going to buy as much gold as I can, which is just 10 tons of it. And I'm going to finalize that sale. I'm going to leave. And then we're about to roll up out of here. And then we're about to head back and see if I could sell that. Got to go back to work. Good luck. All right, have fun. Thanks for stopping by. Cool. All right. So it's a good sign that I'm I'm playing my game more than working on it, I guess. I mean, that's a pretty cool, good sign. Holy cow, coming in hot. One thing I should change, I should make the area bigger. So like this, the Earth is not this close to the sun. There is no way, right? Like that'd be catastrophic. So trade goods. What if I sell gold? It sells for high. So I'm gonna make about like a 5,000 credit profit. Chump change. But hey, whatevs. So yeah. So I think that's what I might start doing. But I'm not sold on redoing it in a whole different engine right now. I just don't know if I want to do that heavy lift or not. Because there's a lot of things that I didn't handle very well. Like, I'm not happy how I did this mouse area 2D thing. I feel like I could have done that better. Star systems, we talked about that. Tags. The trade goods system, I'm not too happy with it. The upgrade selection, I don't even know what I was starting to do with this. This is a UI node. So UI was definitely, everything UI needs to be like redone because I did a horrible job with it. For weapons, looks like I started just putting everything in dictionaries anyway. So I could easily put these in like JSON files, which can be edited easily, and it puts it in like an interchange format, so you don't have to have the Godot engine in order to edit it. You could potentially just do it in game, or you can. It also allows you to share the files and everything. And JSON allowed me to like have my star system mapper tool on Godot version 4 and the game in Godot version 3. I don't know why I did it that way anyway, but it is what it is. I don't know. You can basically make everything work with JSON though. And it's a common thing that many editors and stuff can read. And I think it will just help modders a lot. So that could be cool. So let's take a look at my ships. Because there was one. So Synthocracy, Frigate, Transport. I need to look at... What was it called? Coalition Small Freighter. Ship class is freighter. And it has the tags freighter. I don't think I'm even using this ship class variable anymore. I think I'm just using tags. But when I looked in the shipyard, browse ships, it was showing that this small freighter class was a carrier, and that's not correct. So why was it doing that? So there's lots of little bugs, right? You've done a lot of work on this. I wouldn't advise switching systems either. Well, here's the thing, like it's not like I'm rewriting everything from like complete scratch. A lot of the code is carried over with relative minimal refactoring as far as like just making it work in Godot 4. But it still does have that work on it. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna keep going in Godot 3 for right now. So I think the biggest thing I can do right now is to clean up ship. Because ship is my biggest bloat right now. It is 1,300 lines of code. 600 some odd of that is just AI, like programming the ship AI behavior. So that can be abstracted out to its own node. I can refactor it to just be more clean. And then I can also try to streamline the process of making more ships to where I can just supply a sprite. I can make the collision mask as well as the light occlusion. I can make those pretty easy. I think, and I say pretty easy, but it's probably not pretty easy. And that would clean up the code a lot, and it would make it much easier to make ships in game. Because right now, every time I want to make a new ship, I have to go here to my ships, and I basically just have to like use the ship template scene, and I have to just sort of right click it and I duplicate it, and then I make a new ship with it, and I position all these things manually in this editor anyway. It'd be kind of cool to just do that right in game, and be a lot more streamlined, because this is this can be pretty rough to put together. So I'm not going to save this. Don't save. So I think refactoring ship should be probably my main one. And then I need to build the functionality for the star system mapper tool into this itself, which is a separate thing I did. If I go to my GitHub, why is that taking so long to load? I still have internet, right? Yeah, I still got internet. So if I go to repositories and I go to Star System Mapper Tool, which is a private repository, I already have all the code here. I already have all the logic here, so I can kind of go through what it's doing. So in main, the purpose of this tool is to allow us to create an enormous star system map in my game, Neurality 3092. This tool should allow me to visually create the map by intuitively adding the system plots to the screen. And it will create the dictionary data structure that will be loaded into Neurality 3092 that will define the map. So it does a lot of this stuff here. What's all this stuff? Oh, I have a whole bunch of... Okay, so yeah, I basically had to put this logic in the game. I want to have like, because I've been playing like Age of Empires 2, and they have a whole map editor in there, and you could make like your own scenarios, and it was awesome. I think it'd be kind of cool to do that. You can make your own star system, you can make your own quests, you can make your own factions, you can make your own ships. I think it'd be awesome to see the kind of mods that would come up because of that, without having to have like any intense modding tools, just a frickin' text editor, and you can load in your own assets and stuff. So I think that'd be awesome. So things done, yeah. So I'm not going to rewrite it for now. I think every programmer goes through that, where they go into like a older code base or a legacy code base, and they have to just resist the urge to just rewrite everything. So yeah. Well, good news is I still understand what most of this stuff does, thanks to my code comments, both here in main as well as just in the code itself. So I'm documenting sort of what I'm thinking at the time. And yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I am going to do some more thinking on this, but thank you all for watching and listening to me ramble about randomness here as I reacquaint myself with this old project, and maybe I'll have another devlog out soon. I don't know. Floating combat text. Yes, that's going to be a thing. So I might finish that up. I don't know. There's tons to do. I just got to pick something and then do it and just make it make sense. And I could still put everything in my version control. So if let's do it this way. Let's go here to the root. I'm going to open in File Manager. I'm going to open terminal here. So if I do a git status, you can see these are the changes that I've made. I don't think I actually made any of these changes though. Let's do so I'm going to make my terminal window bigger. And I'm going to do a git diff. Let's see exactly what I changed. So I changed this. I haven't saved that yet. Oh, okay. So I never actually committed the stuff I was doing when I was doing the floating combat text. That makes sense. So let me save this. And then what we'll do is we will go back to my terminal, get status. I'm going to just add everything. Do their status. So I'm already on the main branch because I'm just the only developer on this project. I should be probably doing different like feature branches and doing it that way. But if I was working in a team, that's how I would do it. But since it's just me and this is my project, I'm just pushing directly to main, which is probably not a good idea, but we're doing it live. So git commit saving unsaved work from the last time I worked on this. There we go, got that. There's nothing else staged. I'm going to push origin main. And it pushed it. So now if I go to my GitHub and I go back to my repositories, you can see it was updated now. Saving unsaved work from last time I worked on this. Cool. It was nice to see. I used to belong to an amateur game design group decades ago. I love stuff like this. Awesome. Well, I'm glad someone's getting a kick out of it. Sweet. Yeah, that's one thing is as I've grown as a developer over the years, I always wrestle with having to just rewrite everything I've done previously because I found like better ways to do it, and it's not always possible to do. It's very rarely do you get to do it in like business. You usually just have to maintain and support legacy code. So when I get my own code, I just want to rewrite it and learn more. And then you usually end up running into other roadblocks you didn't conceive of and having to do workarounds for that. And it may or may not end up cleaner than what you originally started with. So, but I am an amateur game developer. I'm a professional, like generalist developer. Like I can pretty much make whatever you want. I can provision databases. I can rig up APIs. I can do web apps. I can do software tools. I can do lots of stuff. But for some reason, I've always kept my work and my personal life separate. And I don't necessarily carry over a lot of the lessons I've learned in the business world into the hobby world. And yeah, so cool. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate it. And I'll see you in whatever video or live stream I do next. I am going to probably get stuff ready for work tomorrow, and I'm going to sleep on it before I make any changes to this because I got some thinking to do. So that's where I'm at. Anyway, I'm going to stop the stream and I'll see you all and wherever I see you next. Thanks.